Now, the US president is set to host the British Prime Minister at his golf resort in Scotland. Donald Trump and Keir Starmer are expected to discuss trade and the humanitarian situation in Gaza as well. We can now bring in Denis MacShane, former British Minister of State for Europe and author of Brexit, How Britain Left Europe. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Now, Donald Trump is hosting Keir Starmer a day after he hosted Ursula von der Leyen. The pair will then travel to another Trump golf course in Aberdeen. In terms of just the optics here, who has the upper hand?
Undoubtedly Donald Trump, because he knows what he wants from Europe, from Britain, and he is making every effort to obtain it, principally, I think, now to get as many tariffs on any goods imported into America from around the world, which will provide America, the United States government, with revenue, with money for his projects for massive tax cuts and cuts in social services, healthcare, supporting families, and the rest. So it's just a rather typical Trump maneuver. Now he's doing it on a golf course. Keir Starmer, I don't think, has ever picked up a golf club in his life, but he's gone up there, just as Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, came to Scotland yesterday, and they're all, as it were, in attendance on the travelling court of Donald Trump.
Well, I hope for his sake he doesn't have to actually play golf with the US president. But Keir Starmer is under pressure to realistically improve or pressure Israel to improve the humanitarian situation on the ground in Gaza. We know that the only person, the one country that has the most sway over the state of Israel is the United States. Will Keir Starmer really pressure Donald Trump to do more and to use whatever leverage the US has on Israel?
What do you think? Mr. Starmer refused to support the initiative of President Macron to recognise Palestine. I don't think, frankly, he could have agreed with Mr. Macron on the eve of a visit by President Trump, because, as we know, Mr. Trump has criticised very strongly the Macron initiative. But Mr. Starmer is under huge political pressure here, with a great number of his own members of parliament signing a letter saying that Britain should follow France and recognise Palestine. And there's just such widespread concern, disgust, unhappiness, as our TV screens show every night these little skeleton children being starved to death as a result of Mr. Netanyahu's policy of not allowing in any food.
But what do you think is holding Keir Starmer back if a majority of his party want to see the recognition of a Palestinian state? And you also have a lot of young people who have been out on the streets of London and other cities across the UK calling for a ceasefire, calling for the Israeli blockade on Gaza to end. What, in your opinion, is holding the British Prime Minister back?
I think, if you like, it's an old word, realpolitik. Nobody in the world, nobody in the UN, nobody in the French government, nobody in any democratic government thinks that offering technical recognition to a state of Palestine that doesn't exist, doesn't have a government, doesn't have a capital, doesn't have leaders, will actually change Mr. Netanyahu's policy. He seems to want to eliminate the Palestine presence from Gaza and is determined to go about it in this very cruel method. And at the same time, Hamas refuses to release the hostages. I mean, they've kept these poor Israelis prisoners since after they had the massacre of all the Jewish people in October 2 years ago. And Hamas also is enjoying the idea that it's still a player by holding women, men, and the very old people hostage underground.
Denis MacShane, thank you so much for joining us on the program today.